right now on Bears Unleashed, brought to you by IGS Energy. Nick Foles came to the rescue in Atlanta, guiding the Bears from 16 points down for the win.
You could tell, not to mess with him. Just let him go. He's in a good place right now.
One of Sunday's games is postponed due to a positive test. We'll talk about how it could affect the rest of the league and could the season be in jeopardy. We'll preview the Bears and Colts at Soldier Field as the Monsters of the Midway look to go 4-0 for the first time since their Super Bowl run in 2006. Plus, what's the one word you need to know before kickoff on Sunday? It's all coming up right here on Bears Unleashed. And welcome to Bears Unleashed, brought to you by IGS Energy. I'm Brittany Payton. So happy to be with you guys this evening. And joining me, as always, Caitlin Sharkey and Anthony Herron. Guys, how are you doing? I have to say, it's always good to be here with you to talk some football and our Bears, but even sweeter when we're 3-0, right?
Always good to talk about wins.
No doubt. Undefeated squads are fun to talk about.
We just got to keep this train rolling. I like it. Well, we've got to start with Sunday's big comeback in Atlanta. Mitchell Trubisky gets pulled in the third quarter for Nick Foles, and he leads the comeback with 3 touchdown passes for the 30-26 win. Now, bringing in Nick Foles was clearly the right move, and Matt Nagy has said he is the starter this Sunday against the Colts and moving forward. So, since the Bears won, you guys, do you think that this was definitely the right move? And Anthony, I'll start with you.
It made sense. It did, even at the time, because I think there's a chance Mitch Trubisky comes in, makes a very similar comeback. We did see that week 1 against Detroit, but I think in addition to whether or not the offense just kind of sputters early and makes moves in the fourth quarter, I just think the Bears got to a point, Matt Nagy got to a point where he was seeing very similar mistakes from Mitch, mechanically, decision-making being a bit slow at times, and said, you know what, we brought Nick Foles here for a reason, to see if he can give this offense a higher ceiling.
Yeah, the one thing they've wanted to see all season long and one thing they've talked about is consistency, and I think they finally got to the point with Mitch Trubisky, which, yes, he could lead a comeback like we've seen in previous weeks, but it was too inconsistent. His overthrown deep balls, his mistakes that he was making, and of course it's not all on Mitch specifically with the offense, but I think Matt Nagy got to a point where this is it, we need to make the change, and if we're going to do it, we're going to do it now. So I'm interested to see how Nick Foles handles this entire week with the preparation of being the starter going into this one, having that week of prep and things like that to get going.
Yeah, you guys, and we talked about this at the beginning of the season. We said it was going to be a really short leash for Mitch, and when mistakes started happening, they were going to have the right guy to step in there, and I think they made the right decision with Nick Foles. I know it couldn't have been easy for them. Mitch is a great guy. The team, the Bears, have invested a lot in him, wanting him to be that starter, but this was the time to make that jump, and I have to give Mitch credit on the way he handled the situation. I mean, he came out in that press conference saying, you know what, Nick Foles has been there to back me up this whole time. I'm going to do the same for him, and I will be there to have his back. So we got to say we've got 2 class acts right there, that's for sure.
Great point.
All right, well, the Colts head coach, Frank Reich, said Foles is a stud player and thinks Indy will have their hands full this Sunday. And Reich would know he was the Eagles' offensive coordinator when they won the Super Bowl 2 years ago with Foles. So what do you guys see happening on Sunday?
Well, I think the challenge is going to be there. There's certainly going to be some cat and mouse game going on because he knows Nick Foles. Nick Foles knows the offense as far as Frank Reich would go, but he is going to be facing one of the better, more ferocious defenses in the National Football League. But they've had the entire week to prepare specifically for Foles, whereas before the Bears had a quarterback that was a part of the run game. That won't be as much of an issue for the Colts D this coming weekend. But I think overall, the fact that Caitlin, like what she was pointing out, where Foles has had the entire week to prepare, I think you're going to see some excited skill position players on the Bears maybe as well.
Yeah, this was the first time that Foles really said he felt really comfortable with the offense, right? Because he had an entire camp. Yes, he was preparing. They were going through that battle. And yes, he was the backup the first couple weeks of this season. But the whole time he was preparing, he was watching, he was learning, he was getting more and more comfortable. So now that it's his time to lead this offense, I think he likes where we're at, and the Bears like where he's at.
Yeah, guys, we got to talk about this Colts defense. It is first in the league with the fewest points allowed. So do you think the offense is going to have some problems this week scoring? And will it make a difference? Tariq Cohen, unfortunately, he is out for the season. So how big of a factor do you think that will play as well?
I think it's going to be a unique balance for the Bears offense because Nick Foles likes to throw the deep ball. He throws it better than Mitch Trubisky does. But overall, this is a Colts defense that, in addition to leading the league in yards per game allowed, they also lead the league in interceptions as well. So you don't want to set their offense up with a veteran quarterback like Phillip Rivers where you've thrown interceptions. So I think Cordero Patterson is going to be a Bear to watch this week, where he's kind of that other hybrid player in the Bears offense, receiver, running back, obviously a stud on special teams as well. So I think he's a guy to keep an eye on to pick up some of that slack from Tariq Cohen being out.
Yeah, Anthony touched on it, balance, and I think that's something that they've talked about all season long up to this point. They want to mix, and you saw it in the opening drive against the Falcons, the mix of the tight ends, wide receivers, and running backs. And I think Nick Foles can do a good job of incorporating that balance. And yes, Tariq Cohen not being there anymore this season is going to be a loss for them, but they still have David Montgomery. They still have Cordero Patterson. So I think if they can find that balance, find that tempo, and the offensive line needs to play better than they did against the Falcons in week 3. They did not have their best game. So I think if the offensive line improves, they should be okay.
Yeah, Tariq Cohen will be missed more than even just his production on the field, but also when he's out there, even as a decoy, because when you see him out there, you've got guys wondering, okay, where can he go? He's fast, he's quick. Well, finally, guys, I don't know if you guys are superstitious at all, but did you notice that all 3 of the Bears' wins this season have been by 4 points? Is this just coincidence, or is there something to it as we're heading into week 4?
I mean, it feels like coincidence, but if they're going to continue, maybe the Bears get to 4-0. That could be something else that's unique just to keep this train rolling.
It just makes me think how stressful the last 4 minutes of these games have been every single week. So when I think of the number 4, that's what I think about.
They really do. They want to give us a heart attack every week. Exactly. But the thing is, at least when it counts and they need to get in there, they are getting it done and getting the wins. They're making the plays, so we're going to take it. All right, guys. Well, now it is time for the Clean Energy player to watch. So who's the one Bears player who you think will make an impact on Sunday's game? And Caitlin, I'll start with you.
I'm going to go with Cordero Patterson. We talked about not having Tariq Cohen. Cordero Patterson has been a bright spot for this offense. He doesn't get all of the carries. He doesn't get the bulk of the carries, but he does just enough. And when he gets those carries, he makes the most of them. He's dynamic on special teams. He said he will not be returning punts. He said that's something he doesn't do. So expect Anthony Miller to take over that role for Tariq Cohen and maybe some other moving parts as well. But I think if Patterson has a good game and they can get that run game going early, they should be okay.
And Caitlin, I got my gaze trained on the interior of that Bears defense. Bilal Nichols, he's been asked to take over a tough job. Eddie Goldman was a great nose guard, got the new contract. He opted out this season, and now Bilal Nichols has been there on the inside. The Colts have Jonathan Taylor as a running back. Their run game has been pretty effective this season. Bears run D, not so much at times. And Bilal Nichols, I think, watch him getting on the move a little bit more. I think Chuck Pagano is going to get him back to his comfort zone, trying to penetrate as opposed to more consistently hitting blocks like he's been doing.
And guys, I'm going to go with Allen Robinson. Like last week, once Nick Foles came in, he had one of his best weeks so far, putting up points. Also, he should have had another touchdown there. I'm still upset about that one. Refs calling that was a touchdown, refs.
You tell him,
but having a full week of reps with Nick Foles, having that veteran presence out there, I think he's going to have a big game and make an impact on Sunday. All right, well, we are just getting started here on Bears Unleashed. When we come back, we'll cover style points around the league. And the Steelers-Titans game on Sunday has been postponed. We'll talk about what effects it will have on the league. That's coming up next. Welcome back to Bears Unleashed, brought to you by IGS Energy. The Steelers and Titans game has been postponed, the first of the NFL season, due to more positive tests from the Titans, both with players and personnel. They had closed their practice facility on Tuesday, along with the Vikings, who Tennessee played last Sunday. The postponed game will be rescheduled for later in the season. What do you guys think about the NFL's decision, and is this just the start of what could potentially be a bigger problem? With no bubble, you've got teams traveling around the country. What effects do you see this having?
You certainly hope it doesn't become a bigger problem, right? And, we talk a lot about the inconvenience of rescheduling and how it's going to make these games play out and how these teams are going to have to play so many weeks in advance. But this is also a personal side of things. A lot of people were talking about this week that the players that are dealing with this, that do have symptoms, not everybody's asymptomatic. So it's something to watch, something to be sympathetic for, and a reminder to be cautious. And Matt Nagy talked about it all week. Just wear your mask, do the things you need to do, because you don't want it to become a bigger issue, because the minute this starts spreading and there is no bubble, we could see a lot of postponements, a lot of rescheduling, and then the NFL has a mess on their hands.
And the NFL, the testing numbers and the amount of people who weren't testing positive. It had been a really good storyline for the NFL because there was, rightfully so, a lot of concern without a bubble how this would play out. And the league overall has done a really nice job with it. So this initial sort of outbreak that happens, I guess it shouldn't be a surprise, but at the same time, like the point you're making there, Caitlin, I think Matt Nagy has been sending the right message with his team. I love the way he's been phrasing it. Don't just act like someone else has it. Act like you have it and take it that seriously with wearing your mask. And I was a little surprised at the NFL when they're talking about daily testing, that they're basically testing 6 days out of the week as opposed to 7. So hopefully the adjustment that happens here is making sure guys get tested on game day as well.
Yeah, and also, the type of testing they're doing. So the NFL, too, coming out with their new protocols now because of not only this incident, but there was an incident with the Las Vegas Raiders players being out at an event with no masks. So now they're going to start testing them, like you said, every day, and sometimes doing 2 different types of tests to make sure that they kind of weed out some of those false positives. So it's going to be an issue. They've done a great job so far, and thankfully the Vikings have no positive players yet. So we continue to watch that as it goes. But it's time to get out some style points. We're going to give those out. There were some great outfits players wore around the league entering into the week. Let's take a look at some of the best. First up, we have Titans running back Derrick Henry. Obviously, he won't be playing this week. But what do you guys think of this look? He's sporting some Bears colors here.
I was going to say, if that's what I don't think that's what he had in mind, but it looks good. The blue and orange looks good on him.
Right, it's got a good vibe to it, and going without the tie, going with the whatever that is down the middle. Obviously a very tailored suit for a man of his size as well.
He looks good. He looks clean. And hey, Bears colors, we're always supporting that. That's for sure. Next is the Texans' Jacob Martin. What looks like 2 shirts kind of put together. How do you guys feel about this look?
I like it. I like the colors. They pop. I like the bright, loud. Where else are you going to wear a shirt like that? If you're not in the NFL, walk into the plane. That's the perfect outfit to wear.
I feel like something reminds me of Showbiz Pizza or Chuck E. Cheese if you're of a certain age. I don't know why, but it puts me in that mind frame.
Anthony, I see pizza on that too. It might not be, but to me, it looks like some pepperoni pizza slices right there. So I don't know. That's going to bring us to the Browns' Myles Garrett with this shiny blue suit with the white kicks. I am feeling this one.
I like the shine. I like it. It kind of gives you like a faux leather look. It's not, but it gives you that look. So I like it. It looks good.
If you can see the kicks I was wearing right now, which you ladies can, that I can dig the fact that he's going with the gym shoes with the nice suit. I have rocked that for years. So Myles Garrett may be taking a page out of my book.
It's just classic, and I love a suit jacket with a T-shirt under it. I just is cool, clean. He looks fresh. Then we have twin brothers Shaquille and Shaquem Griffin, who both play for the Seahawks. There's a lot of Louis Vuitton in that. We got a short suit set.
Yeah, exactly.
I like the short suit set. I like it. I think it looks sharp. Obviously, you can't go wrong with the amount of Louis Vuitton in that picture. Comes with a hefty price tag, but they pull it off, and who better? I think they look great.
Yeah, when you got family from the South like you do, like I do, Brittany, we call that a shoat set. That's what that is. That is exactly. They're rocking the shoat set right there. I like it.
You know what? And I just love these two brothers. Like, they always put a smile on your face. They're always happy. They're enjoying, so I like it. Well, our last 2 picks go to, of course, who else? Cam Newton. He's a staple here on this show. The first, his suit, the nice baby blue there, the hat. I'm not giving this one many points. All he's missing is that ruffled shirt underneath.
It's too derby for me, and it's not derby season or derby time of year. The hat always looks good, but he's done better. I'm still a fan of the yellow suit. So
we're judging Cam by really high standards these days. That's what I'm getting from both of your reactions right there.
We expect a lot of him, but we got to take a look at this. Cam's pregame cleats were very interesting, with a picture of Superman crying while holding Black Panther's helmet. This was a nod, obviously, to Chadwick Boseman, who passed away just a couple of weeks ago. These are really cool, and a cool tribute there.
That's really cool. It's a nice little honor tribute there, as a lot of us have tried to do in different ways. It's really nice.
Yeah. I like that the NFL, too, is allowing them to do this on their cleats to show what they want to do. It's a great asset, I think. Well, time for another break. When we come back, we'll be joined by Mark Carman, so stay with us. Welcome back to Bears Unleashed, brought to you by IGS Energy. And we are honored to be joined by WGN radio host Mark Carman to talk some Bears. Mark, always good having you with us.
Guys, great to be here. First time on the show. I'm really loving it. Thanks for having me.
Well, you are always up to talk some football. So first up, Mark, what do you think about these Bears? Are they the real deal at 3-0? I can't wait to hear your thoughts.
So I'm all in. The move to Nick Foles has me over the top excited. I think anything is possible for this Bears team. I thought the defense came out huge last week. I saw a ton of pressure on the quarterback, which we didn't see in weeks 1 and 2. The Tariq Cohen injury has me a little bit nervous, but I'm telling you, remember, and I think we'll all know his name soon enough, but I think Artavius Pierce is going to be a sweet player for the Bears, upgraded from the practice squad. And I also am interested to see what David Montgomery does with more touches. So I'm super optimistic right now, guys.
Absolutely. What do you think about Nick Foles? Obviously, he came in a chaotic situation of sorts, but what do you think how he handled that situation? What do you think about Foles now moving forward? Do you think that success will finally happen for him as a starter and not a guy coming off the bench?
So Caitlin, like, the body language I thought was incredible. Like, this guy with the completion, incompletion, series ends, touchdown, he kind of has that same demeanor, right? And then on the sidelines, he's talking to everybody, been there, done that. I've won a Super Bowl. To me, this is exactly what you want in a quarterback. And Mitch had a little bit of that, but Nick Foles has a whole lot of it. So I listen, the intangible aspects that he's bringing to the table, I think, is huge for this team.
When you think about the strike play opportunities, I would imagine that Allen Robinson will be excited too if you get more proficient at quarterback. What do you think Nick Foles in the lineup maybe means for the ceiling of the whole offense?
So it's a great question, right, Anthony? How good can everybody get? I'm assuming that Allen Robinson's super excited. I would think that a guy like Colt Kmet, who hasn't gotten any touches, is probably excited. I think Jimmy Graham is excited. I think everybody is fired up at what they can do. Anthony Miller, all of a sudden, who knows what level of receiver he can get to. So I think guys have got to have an extra spring in their step, thinking like, you know what, I can reach a point in my career that maybe I haven't yet. I mean, thinking about Allen Robinson specifically, who's he been catching balls from? Now I got a guy, and I don't want to make him out like he's Patrick Mahomes or anything like that, but he's a competent NFL quarterback who is going to make guys look better.
I feel you. And honestly, Allen Robinson, too, that's one of my players to watch this week because, like you said, who's he been catching balls from and what he's been able to do. So it'll be interesting to see his production coming up this week. Just tell us, how big of a Bears fan are you? You know, we've been through so much ups and downs, you name it. But to be at this point, it's been a long time since this team has had a winning record to start the season like this.
All right, so I don't want to date myself here, Brittany, but we're going to have to bring up your dad if you're asking that question. I mean, I can remember Super Bowl Sunday coming down thinking there is absolutely no way they lose this football game, and we all did Peyton over the top, over the couch in the Carmen family room. That was a daily activity. So there's few things in Chicago sports life that I've ever enjoyed as much as Bears football. Michael Jordan is at the top. I don't ever forget that, and we've had some great baseball moments too. But, of course, to get the Bears back where they belong and finally putting that 85 Super Bowl in a distant memory, not that we ever want to forget it, of course, but that would be – it feels like it's just a little bit more on the table today.
Yeah, definitely feels like it's there. It's there for the taking. We're doing it. Mark, thank you so much for stopping by. You are welcome on the show anytime, my friend.
I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Carm.
Thank you.
And we've got a lot more coming up on our final time out. We'll get you ready for the Bears and Colts. Make sure you stay with us. And welcome back to Bears Unleashed, brought to you by IGS Energy. It is time for the Miller Lite Blitz. So everyone hit me with the one word that will define the Bears and Colts game. Caitlin, ladies first.
Transition. They're transitioning things, obviously going from Trubisky to Foles. This will be the first time that we see Nick Foles start. So hopefully it's a good transition for the Bears. They'll keep rolling and the offense will keep rolling.
I'm going to go with ascend. When it comes down to it, this is a squad at 3-0. I've been in these locker rooms where the season feels like it's gotten off to a great start, but if you can do that in winning fashion like they have so far, you can be ascending at the right time. That's what we hope the Bears are going to do here.
All right, you guys transition, ascend. I'm just going with Foles. Nick,
I mean, that's good.
Foles. This is what it's going to come down to.
Show.
You are the new starter. You got to show us what you got. and we want another win. 4-0.
right.
It's all about the fours.
Yeah, victories by fours. What fourth win could be? Last 4 minutes of
Minutes are
each game.
exciting.
Yes.
Good
All
stuff.
right. It's going to be a good one. That is it for this week's edition of Bears Unleashed. Join us every Friday night at 9:30. For Caitlin, for Anthony, I'm Brittany Payton. Good night, everyone.